right, ladies and gentlemen. Officially that time of day. We're getting things started. Lone Wolf Way. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the weekend case review with Lone Wolf Uso, and we have ourselves some banger cases coming up today. We're starting off in Genesee, Michigan with Judge Goggins and a bunch of people who really can't get along. It's a lady who had her roof done, and the roofers want their money, but she's not paying. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear all about it. It's going to take a while, but it's interesting. Then we're moving on. To Kansas, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to get a little bit heavy where we're going to see Wendy Sincere Scott's co-defendant sentenced by Judge Hart. Then we're moving on to see Judge Boyd in Bexar County, Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, all that starts right now.
ARS Construction Company versus Wanda Wilson, Gary Taylor, and Tamara Murray.
Ready, Judge, you go on behalf of plaintiff.
Mr. Dorr. And let's see, I have Wanda Wilson.
I'm here, sir.
Okay. And then Gary Taylor. Do I have Gary Taylor?
Gary has been deceased for years. We
Okay.
told him that from the beginning.
Okay. And Tamara Murray?
That's a stepsister that I have not seen in 20 years.
Okay.
We didn't get service on either one of those, so
Oh, okay.
we're not going to proceed against those two.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. Dorr, there was plan to submit order for inspection. Was the inspection done?
Yep, it was done, and Mr. Paul is seated here to my left, and he's ready to testify what he observed.
Okay.
He refused to go in the attic and look at anything, sir. So I don't know what he saw from the roof, but you know you can't see anything if you don't go in the attic.
We'll let them testify and we'll figure it out. You'll get a chance to question him too. Let's see. Any preliminary matters, Mr. Dorr?
Judge, I don't know how to do exhibits with Zoom, but we emailed to the court 16 pages, and I numbered them at the bottom.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have them or not, but
I even looked for them. You said, I'm sorry, they were emailed over. Oh, Janice nodding her head that they must have been sent over here. Was it? It's in here.
Okay.
Okay. So I've got those actually right in front of me.
Okay. And the other thing was, when we were in court, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, Wanda Wilson indicated that she provided you this estimate of Cardinal Roofing. So I just want to make sure you have that.
Miss Wilson, is that right? Did you turn something to me with? I'm sorry, it's Cargo? Oh, Cardinal.
No.
Yep, I'm sorry, I do see it. Cardinal Roofing, I do have Cardinal Roofing repair estimate. Do you have a copy of that too, Mr. Dorr?
Yeah, she gave us a copy of it.
Okay.
And so I don't, normally what we do is we offer them into evidence and go through the process of doing the laying the foundation. So I don't know what you want to do. We're ready to stipulate that both of them go in, but you tell me how you want to proceed.
Sure. We can do it. What I normally do when we're on Zoom like this is we'll just do a screen share with them, but it might be easier if both sides agree for me just to stipulate to both sets of documents.
Okay.
Miss Wilson, can you agree to the other set of documents as well? It might be easier for everybody, quite frankly.
Pardon?
Can you agree to let me review Mr. Dorr's documents, have those admitted into evidence as well as yours, so we don't have to go through legal foundations to have those admitted?
Sure, he's already put an extra 120 days on it, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for both your sakes, then I've got both sets of documents. And when they get referred to, though, I'll need you to slow down so I can grab them. I've got both sets here, but I'll set those on the side, okay?
Okay.
All right, and with that, anything else? Does that pretty much cover it?
I don't have any other preliminary issues, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, any other preliminary matters before we start?
Well, you sent Harry over here to check the roof and the attic, and he refused to even go in my attic and look at anything.
Okay, and I'll get you a chance to, to question that witness too. Okay, and if it goes towards his credibility or her credibility anyway, so I'll let you do that, okay? All right. All right, Mr. Dory, you can proceed for me. If you want to
Okay.
give an opening statement, just a brief one, that's fine too.
I'm gonna do it real briefly. This involves a roof job that the plaintiff did for Wanda Wilson in Montrose. And the reason why plaintiff got involved was Wanda Wilson called my client and said that her roof was leaking and that her living room fell in. And so my client immediately went over there and tarped the roof on a Friday night at 6 o'clock at night.
No,
And then from there,
I turned,
he came back the next day and walked the roof and estimated the materials needed. And they negotiated what should be done and what she was willing to do. In other words, there was a disparity between what should have been done and what she was willing to agree to. But they eventually ended up doing the contract, which is page 1 of 16 that I've attached. And that contract said exactly what ARS agreed to do, and that the cost was $12,000. Because of the fact that the roof was leaking, my client moved her work ahead of other several jobs and started the job a week later. And this would be in the summertime of 2022. And after the work was started, I want to back up. The house itself consists of 3 sections. The middle section is an old section that was an old house that had old plank roofing and bad rafters. And then the 2 side sections on either side were newer part of the structure, and they had a newer part of the roof. And the problematic part of the roof was the one in the middle. And one of the things that they talked about was that the roof in the middle was the one that was compromised and needed to have more infrastructure type work done, which we're going to get to in the proofs. But Ms. Wilson wasn't willing to put that in the contract or agree to pay for it. So what they ended up doing was she just said, give me a roof that doesn't leak. And the proofs will show that it doesn't leak. And the proofs will show that after the work was done, the building inspector, there was a building permit pulled. And after the work was done, the building inspector issued a final approval, which is it's a picture of it because it was attached to the building. So page 5 of 16 is the approval of the roof that was issued by the building inspector. After that, despite the request for payment from Mrs. Wilson, she refused to pay, and so this action was started. So we're aware of the fact that she claims that the roof work was defective, and that is the reason why we brought Mr. Powell here to testify that he went out there pursuant to the court's order and examined it, and he's reviewed the Cardinal roofing estimate and all of the pictures, and he's prepared to explain to the court that the work that was done by ARS was done in a workmanlike manner, that the roof doesn't leak, and that he's going to point out what should have been done at the time, but it wasn't in the contract because she didn't want to pay for it. So the roof is still compromised, although it doesn't leak, it needs further attention, but she wasn't willing to pay ARS to do the additional work. And Cardinals doesn't have a problem with what was done. They're looking at what should have been done, but it wasn't agreed to. So We're ready to call our first witness. The court wants us to proceed.
Okay. And before we do that, I guess, Miss Wilson, there's a legal steps that you gotta follow through with the trial too. You've got a right to give me an opening statement, just like Mr. Dorr, or you can wait till afterwards. Now, it's gonna be a little unusual because I'm sure you're gonna want to testify. You're not represented by an attorney. So I'm giving you a little bit of leeway, but I gotta follow the court rules for everybody, okay? If you want to give me an opening statement of what you intend to prove on your side, you can do that this time, just like Mr. Dorr. It's not evidence, it's just giving me some guidelines as far as what I'm going to be looking for. So that's up to you if you want to do it now, or if you want to wait till Mr. Dorr is done and I can give you a chance to do that then. It's up to you.
Well, I'll do,
And you'll get a
something
chance to
now.
testify either way. Okay.
Okay, I called them and Stroop, Mr. Stroop came out. And it was to put a roof and shingles. I told him plainly there was rotten boards. I said, will you replace the boards? Yes, we will replace the boards. Okay, when I said, how about the two add-on portions? Well, they will feather those out so that they will be even and you won't see them anymore. No, he didn't write it in the contract, but he stood there plainly to my face and told me that they would do it. And they did not. They come over, they didn't put boards on the roof to cover the holes. They patched them. They run some, I don't know, aluminum looking stuff on patches. The attic, you can see holes. I even sent you pictures where there's light shining through one spot. There's nails all sticking through where they nailed the nails where there's nothing. There's just nails hanging through on there. And he never discussed anything with me about any extra work. In fact, he didn't even come around here. He sent two 16-year-old boys and another one that I don't know who he was, he just was released from prison. And then the other one was supposedly the foreman. And they come over, and then when he came over here, I told him what they were doing. He said, well, you know how it is training.
Is this an opening statement or is this her testimony?
Yeah, I know, and that's what we end up, ma'am, you can't be telling me all the facts of it, just what you intend to prove. So if the,
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, sir.
okay, because you're gonna get a chance to tell me all that under oath. Right now, you're not under oath. So I don't want to hear the same things that you're gonna testify to, okay? And that's what makes it difficult when you're representing yourself like that. Okay? So anything else you intend to prove to me besides that the contract was not followed that you agreed to?
No, I guess not.
No? Okay. All right. We'll give you a chance to testify then too. Mr. Dorr, you can call your first witness.
We call him Matt Stroop, this gentleman
Matt
seated
Stroop,
to my
officer.
left.
Sure. And so once you raise your right hand, I'll let everybody just sit. We're fine like that. Do you swear firm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And why don't you just state and spell your name for my court recorder, just as long as we're doing it.
Matthew Stroop, MATTHEWSTROUP.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Dorr?
Thank you. Where are you employed, Mr. Stroop?
ARS Construction,
And how long have you been employed there?
26 years.
And in what capacity are you employed there?
What capacity?
What do you do?
Oh, owner.
You're one of the owners of
One
the
of the
business?
owners.
Okay. And are you familiar with the home at Montrose, Michigan?
Yes, sir.
Could you please indicate how you first came into contact with this home?
She had called us up with her.
Now, she being who? Is who?
Wanda Wilson.
Okay.
Called us. She had a very bad leaking problem, her ceiling fell in. So we went up there right away. It was on a Friday night at 6 o'clock and put a tarp on it for her. Came out Monday after that to give her an estimate.
Okay. Did you charge her for the tarp?
Nope.
Okay.
I tried to put the tarp because she said she was gonna agree to go with us.
Okay, and, did you return to the premises to give an estimate?
Yes, on
And,
Monday.
did you talk to her as you were doing the estimate, what needed to be done?
Yes,
And what did you indicate to Mrs. Wilson?
that the middle of the roof was dipping and explained to her, if we get that dip out, we're gonna have to take all the feeding off, put new rafters in there and then resheet it off. She didn't wanna do any of that.
You didn't
Now,
say anything.
Could you please describe when you say the old and the new, tell the judge what the old part was and what the new part was so that he can understand it?
So the middle of the house was the original part of the house and then it was added on both ways. So the newer part has 1/2 inch OSB with regular, rough rafters and trusses, where the middle is the old rafter construction with planks.
Now, when you use the word plank, you mean that instead of a roof deck, it was these old saw cut planks?
3/4 inch, yeah.
Okay, and what condition were they in, if you can recall?
We didn't know what condition they were in until we started tearing it off, and they were not in that great a condition. So I made a special appointment, went over there and talked to Wanda Wilson right in her front yard and showed her that this needs to be redact. New 1/2 inch OSB over it, but right on our contract it states $80 a sheet, anything over 2. That's what it states on the contract, and she did not want to pay anything. I can't afford it, I cannot, she refused, so I said, the only other thing we can do is we can try to, cut out the bad planking and put new 3/4 inch OSB in where the bad planking is. And she said, okay,
So you wanted to replace the rafters and the deck, and she didn't want to do that, is that right?
from the get-go, I told her that's the way you're gonna get the dip out.
Okay,
Liar.
but she didn't want to do that, is that right?
Right,
Okay, and then after you started, you found that the planks had bad spots, and you wanted to do something about that, and she didn't want to do that either.
yes,
So that left you with trying to put the roof in with what she allowed you to do.
correct.
And what was it that you ended up doing with the whole roof?
So we just replaced the bad planks and then did everything else, roofed everything else and did everything that we were supposed to do on the contract.
Okay, now, did you do anything in addition to that?
Yeah, we tore down the back thing, but that was in the contract, but she said that she was gonna tear out the floor. After we got all done, we tried to get a hold of Mrs. Wilson for 2 weeks. She would never answer the phone, never, nothing. So I physically went over there and then she had us tear the floor out. I tried to, we cleaned up, we tried to make her happy any way that we
Now,
could.
you're talking about a shack that was at the back of the building,
Correct. Heather.
and it was just something that you were doing that had nothing to do with the roof.
Right,
So it was just the demolition of a shack that was in the back of the building.
right, tear down the slope.
And you agreed to take it apart, and she was gonna do the floor, but you ended up doing the floor yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Was
all.
there anything in addition to that that you did extra?
Yeah, we went around and cleaned again because she wanted us to, but also there was some soffit that we had to take down on the house when we put new fascia up, and somehow that come up missing, so I had to go buy a new soffit and put it up on the house, and that was extra too. And we also we had over 6 sheets of OSB. The part that she's talking about, that I told her that was included in the estimate, was the part that was rotted where the ceiling was falling in. It had nothing to do with the planks over here because we didn't even know that any of that was like that until we got it tore off. So we did replace all the wood over there, where it was leaking and rotted.
Okay, so to help us paint a better picture, the part above the old part of the house wasn't leaking. It was the part somewhere else that was leaking.
Yes,
Okay, and the part somewhere else was one of these additions that you talked about,
yeah,
correct? And you replaced the OSB over this addition where the ceiling had fallen in.
correct,
And that was part of your contract.
correct.
Okay. Did you do anything else that you need to tell the judge about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Now, after you did all that work, did you get the building inspector to to come back and take a look at the job?
Yes,
And were you given a final approval by the building inspector?
yes,
Now, I'm showing you page 5 of 16 of the documents that we just mentioned to the judge. And could you tell me what page 5 of 16 is?
it's the approval that he filled out saying final roof approval.
Now, where was that located at? I mean, where's this? It looks like a picture of it. Where was it at?
It was, he sent it to me off his phone.
Okay, he sent it to you off of his phone. Did he take a picture of where he put it? Did he tell you where it went?
He didn't tell me.
So all that the building inspector did was send this approval that he signed and emailed or texted to you.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Sure.
But you know that it was approved.
Right.
Okay. Did you go back and do anything else after the approval?
Yes, we called Mrs. Wilson again, telling her that, you know, the approval, that he did give the final approval, we need to get paid. She declined again, got all angry and, you know, yelled and screamed, and then we just said, oh, we'll have to get a lawyer, I guess.
Okay, and did she complain about the fact that there were nails left on the property?
About that thing.
Did she ever complain that
Yes.
there were nails on the property?
Yes, and that's.
What was her complaint?
That we didn't clean up good enough and that, you know, that was her complaint, and this, everything, she complained about everything afterwards.
Okay.
She said,
After the work was done, then the complaint started.
that's right,
So did you take care of the nails that were left behind?
oh yeah, we went and ran the magnet 2 or 3 different times.
You ran a magnet, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we always run a magnet, but yeah, there were missed a few up in the landscaping, so we went back and got up in there and got real good and tore out
Okay.
the back floor and everything, trying to make,
Now, I heard Mrs. Wilson say that you had people from prison working there and 16-year-old kids working there. Could you tell the judge who was doing the work?
there was nobody from prison. There was 6 of them, and none of them were 16. I can't legally hire a 16-year-old person. They have to be 17 legally to work for me. So I did have one 17-year-old, but then there was the crew leader. He was 41 at the time,
And how much experience did the crew leader have?
over 20 years.
Okay, the crew leader's been doing roofing work for over 20 years.
Yes,
Okay,
That he was
there
17.
was there anybody else there besides the crew leader that had experience?
oh yeah, yeah.
What experience, if you know?
The second guy, he would have had over 10 years of experience.
Okay, so you had an experienced group there along with one 17-year-old man.
Yeah, to
And
just labor work. Right.
now, were you there supervising also?
I came and go. I was there 3 times out of the week they were there. One of them was a meeting with Mrs. Wilson about the decking, and then I was out back when they tore that off. I was out front again on a different time. Yes, I stopped in
Now, when
there.
you use the word you tore that off, you mean this shack that was there?
Well, when we were working on the back side of the house,
Oh, okay.
tearing that roof off
Okay.
and tearing the shack off too.
Okay, okay. Now, did you ever tell her that you would do anything in addition to what the contract provided for after she started complaining?
No,
Man,
Yes,
I mean,
we tore out the deck of the back shed that was not in agreement with that. And you told me that you were gonna tear out the wood floor deck. All you wanted us to do was take down the roof, the walls, and dispose of that.
Okay. All right, I don't have anything else on this witness, Judge.
okay. Ms. Wilson, do you have any questions for him?
I'd like to know when that 2-week gap came in that he kept calling and calling. For one thing, his dyslexia kicked in. He was calling the
You
wrong
know, ma'am,
number.
you can't tell me, just ask the question of him, okay? It's just your chance to
He
ask
had-
questions of him.
Why was you calling the wrong number and then saying, did you change your phone number? When I
I
did.
asked you if you changed your phone number because you never answered the phone. When I
No.
had to physically go there 2 weeks later.
You showed me the number you had wrote down. It wasn't even mine. You've switched.
That's not a question, Judge.
Yes, it is a
Ma'am,
question.
we gotta,
He's sitting there saying that I didn't answer the
Yes.
phone for 2 weeks. He
just
never
ask it,
came around.
ma'am, it's the only time to ask questions, so.
Well, I don't know how to put them into questions when somebody's sitting there.
Ma'am, I
Tell 'em
can't
stories.
run your case for you. You've got to ask questions. All I got to do, my job is to make sure the trial runs fairly, and I got to follow the court rules. So you got to ask questions of him.
Why did you say that I wouldn't agree to any extra work when you never once came to my door? None of your workers came to my door. So how could I agree to anything?
That's not a question, Judge. It's a-
Okay. I guess the question was,
Yes, it
just
is.
ask the first part of your question. Ask the question again, just that first part.
Why did you say that I wouldn't agree to anything extra when you never even came over or knocked on my door?
Cause I did come over.
No, you didn't. You come over one time and
Not a
Ma'am,
question,
It's gotta be,
Judge.
yeah, ma'am, it's gotta be a question. I can't, I gotta
okay,
follow the rules.
how did the shellac-o knives get in my yard? And how did boxes of staples get in my yard? And how did nails get all in my yard?
Okay, one
Them are
question at a time, one question at a time. So go ahead and ask the first question.
How did the shellac-o knives get in my yard that you hurried up and grabbed and put in your pocket?
Judge, I'm gonna object to the relevance of that. The question is, in this case, did she breach the contract? Leaving a shellac.
They breached the contract by not doing the work.
Ma'am, how is that question relevant to your contract?
What they quoted to me is not what he did. When you tell someone that you're gonna do reputable work, you do it.
Okay, so that's, the question's gotta be in line with that. Go ahead and ask a question.
I don't think it matters, sir. Every time I ask them, they're gonna tell a lie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I guess I've got a couple questions. Mr. Sue, I guess my first, just to make sure, are you licensed with the state of Michigan then? Do you have a license?
Yes,
Construction? I'm sorry, what?
yes, we are. Yeah, it's right on the contract.
The company is? Okay. It's in
Yeah.
good standing that you're aware
Yeah,
of? Okay.
yeah.
The contract itself is the total contract price. I can't, it looks like there's a circle. It says 12. I can't understand if it says just 12,000. Is that the
Yeah.
contract price?
Yeah, it's just 12,000. I gave her a
And
little
then-
bit,
Was
little
there,
bit of a deal,
okay, was there
but it was
some kind of down
11,550.
payment? I'm sorry, what?
Well, no, there's zero down, the total roof was 11,550, and it was 800 to tear down the shed. Or the back, building, but we agreed upon 12,000 even, that's why I wrote that and then circled it.
Okay. And then there's no down payment, it looks like. I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. Okay.
She hasn't paid anything.
Oh, you haven't received anything for the work done? Okay,
Nothing.
okay. That was gonna be my next question. I wasn't sure how much was paid or, okay. The, when you pulled a permit, building permit for it looks like. Is that true?
Yeah, we pulled the building permit, yeah.
And then on the, Mr. Dorr had questioned about the approval. That was page 5 of 16. It says approved North Genesee. Was there it's got the address, so I'm just curious, was there a permit number too or not?
That's page 4.
Up at the top right, I think there's.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay. And they just didn't refer to it when they gave you the approval? Is that what happened?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, and it does say, it says final roof. Was that written by the code enforcement officer then too?
Yeah, building inspector.
Yeah, I'm sorry, building inspector. Yeah, okay. Okay. Did you ever have, I guess, were there any complaints from the building inspector with regard to the work that was done on this job?
Yeah, he wanted us to go back and fix a few things, around the boot, and I tried to go back there, and Mrs. Wilson told us that she was gonna call the cops.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I told my guys that she was gonna call the cops if
You
they don't get
are
off the property.
And
Why?
what were those items? Do you remember what they wanted you to go back and do?
Yep, that collar around that one chimney pipe that
Okay.
is in, let me refer back to it.
Was it missing or something, or was it old?
Yeah, it was missing, I think it, yeah, it's right here on 16 to 16. There's a pipe there that's supposed to have a collar around it.
Okay.
Or he said you could seal it up,
Okay,
so. And then we were gonna to get ridge vent, so I just told him that we would go back and just re-ridge vent the whole thing, even though it had ridge vents on it, but she complained that it wasn't cut out enough. So I told him that we'd just go back and do that, but she wouldn't let us on the property, sent the guys there. Told them if they don't want the property, we'll call the cops.
okay. I'm sorry, that was a ridge vent for the entire structure on the roof line? Is that what it was?
Right. Yeah,
Both, I guess, the new and old sections, like it looks to me like there's 3 sections, what Mr. Dorr was saying.
Yeah. yeah. So it would have been all of it, right?
Okay, and I'm sorry, so was that accomplished or not? It just never got,
We couldn't get there. She told us she's gonna call the cops if we come on the property, so.
okay.
But there is a ridge vent there.
Yeah, there is a
Yeah,
ridge
I
vent, and it is cut out, it's just that she complained that it was not cut out enough, so we was just gonna try it, we're just, me and the building inspector are trying to make her happy, so we can just resolve this, but it didn't matter what we did, she was not gonna be happy, and, here we are, 3 years later.
But the ridge vent that you installed works
Yeah, oh yeah.
and doesn't leak.
No, it doesn't leak.
Okay, so I guess I'm just a little confused with that then. With the ridge vent, building inspector told you or asked you to come back on and I guess install one or fix it?
No, yeah, you're supposed to cut, anywhere from inch and a half to 2 inches, and we did like an inch and a half. So she was complaining that it wasn't the full 2 inches on either side, that it was cut out.
I don't
So
even
it
know
wasn't-
those, about those kind of things.
Ma'am,
How could I
ma'am,
be
please,
complaining?
hold on. I gotta be able to hear what he says. So,
Yeah, she had a guy come over telling her all this.
I don't even
Yeah.
climb on the roof.
so, sir, I guess you got the approval. I mean, obviously the approval was done, but was the approval done after the ridge vent was looked at again or not? I'm confused. Was the ridge vent completed and then the inspector wanted you to come back and do this other work to it?
Yeah, and then she wouldn't let us on the property, and then I had
Yeah.
to.
Okay, I understand what you're telling me. So,
Can I ask the question?
yeah,
Doug?
sure. Yeah, Mr. Dorr, go ahead. Yeah.
I want to make sure I understand. You completed the job had the roof vent installed.
Correct,
You then called for a final inspection and the building inspector looked at it. True?
correct,
Okay. Then she complained to the building inspector. The building inspector asked you to go back and do something with the,
attempt of making her happy.
with the expanding the
No.
ridge vent beyond what was already there, although what was already there met code.
Correct,
Okay. So when you tried to do that, she wouldn't let you do it.
correct,
And you told that to the building inspector.
correct,
And after you told that to the building inspector, he then issued the final approval.
correct.
Okay. Do you see the sequence, Judge?
Yeah, I got it. That makes sense. Yeah, that's
Sorry about
where,
that.
yeah, no, that's okay. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. And so, Mr. I don't want to take over your case. I just want to make sure I understand the amount that you're asking for then is the 12,000. Is that right for the roof?
Correct.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I got that part down. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Anything else, Mr. Dorr, from this witness?
Not this witness, Judge.
Okay, all right. Yeah, if you want to call your next witness.
Okay. We would call Harry Powell.
Harry.
He's the gentleman seated to the left of Matt.
Okay, so why don't you raise your right hand there for me? Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes,
Okay, and if you could do the same thing for me, just state and spell your last name for me. State it's Harry
Harry E. Powell,
Powell, P-O-W.
P-O-W-E-L-L. P-O-W-E-L-L,
P-O-W-E-L-L. Okay,
sir.
all right. Mr. Dorr, you can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Powell, do you have a residential builder's license with the state of Michigan?
I do.
And do you have the building, the license number?
Yes, it's 2101258888.
And how long have you had that building license?
40 years.
Okay, so during the last 40 years, have you had an opportunity to install roofing on residential homes?
Thousands of them,
Thousands?
thousands.
And would you say that at this point, you're qualified to take a look at a roof and figure out and inspect whether it's done in a workmanlike manner?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Well, in the state of Michigan, everything needs to be done to a journeyman standard of work.
Okay, and in this case, how can you determine whether a roof is done with a journeyman standard of roof or a workmanlike manner?
Well, the first thing when somebody asks me about their roof or any questions about a roof, the first thing I want to know is it leaking?
Okay,
Which Miss Wilson told me it's not leaking
okay,
when I first called her on the phone,
I
Then-
told you what?
that it was not leaking.
No, at that time, it's not leaking. At
So
the
the
time,
answer-
no. Pardon?
That's what I
Miss
said.
Wilson.
The roof is not leaking.
Right, that's what I said. No, it is not leaking at the time, at the present.
Okay,
Let's let them, unless you didn't hear something, but let's let them continue. Mr. Dorr?
okay. Now, Mr. Powell, you had an opportunity to go take a look at the roof and inspect it, is that correct?
right after several attempts.
Okay, And was that at the June 6th occasion when you and Mr. Shroop went there and met Mrs. Wilson and she gave you the Cardinal roofing repair estimate?
Yes,
Okay. And don't tell me what the opinion is, but do you have an opinion of whether the job was done in a workmanlike manner?
yes, it was.
Okay. Judge, I would move to qualify Mr. Powell as an expert witness pursuant to Michigan Rule of Evidence 702.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, and again, this gets technical, but is there any objection to me considering qualifying him as an expert in roofing?
I know he did modular homes for years, but I don't know about roofing.
Okay. Given the testimony at this point, his years of experience is building, oh, I'm sorry, I guess, is your building license in good standing with the state of
Yes,
Michigan?
it is.
Okay. Do you find this witness is qualified as an expert in construction and in building construction matters, including in particular this matter of roofing?
Now, Mr. Powell, could you indicate to the court what you observed when you went there and inspected the home?
Myself and Bill, we both went up on the roof, we walked the roof. We didn't find any bad spots, we didn't find any soggy spots. The veneerage that Matt had talked about earlier all looked to be in good shape. You can see in some of our pictures where the roof, the veneerage actually follows the ridge of the vent, even though the house has got variations in it. I mean, it still goes right up there and it works good. It looks good.
Now, did you take a look at the pictures that were provided by Mrs. Wilson in the Cardinal roofing estimate?
Yes, I did.
Please indicate what they depict.
Well, they depict different areas of the roof that's got what we call dry rot. When you walk around the house, I think the only section of the house that actually has vented soffit material is the section that you worked on. The rest of the house, Your Honor, doesn't even have vented material in the soffits of the house that would make a veneerage work properly anyway. So Wanda's friends showed up there and told me all about what I needed to do and that Matt needed to close off the vent that was in the end of the house. And he wanted to show me on the internet how it says that when you put on veneerage, you should close off the vent on the end of the house. And that's true. Just as long as the house has vented soffit material at the bottom, so it can draw the air up through the veneerage. If Matt's guys would have closed off the vent that's on the end of the house, the roof would have got no ventilation at all. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that house to bring the roof up to today's standards. I think the settled out spot, there's a spot in the back of the roof when you're up on top and you look down where the shingles literally flatten right out before they go off the roof. I think that's because in the last 2 or 3 years, the tails on the rafters coming down that these guys described needing repairs in Cardinal's thing and in Matt's thing, I think the tails on the rafters where they come down are rotting off. And they're allowing that roof to settle down more and more and more. And it's depicted even in the pictures from Cardinal Roofing and stuff. There wasn't really any reason for me to go in the attic of that house. I can see in the pictures that they provided. And I had a hard time with this when I got the thing, because when I talked to Dan, he's the owner of Cardinal Roofing. He couldn't figure out whose house I was talking about when I kept saying Wanda Wilson, because he never wrote Wanda Wilson an estimate. They wrote it to somebody else named Kevin Moore.
He's the one that called them up and asked them if they could come over and take a look at it and help me out.
Who's he?
He's my daughter's fiance.
So anyways, I finally did get to the bottom of it by giving them the address, and they bring it up in their computer and they said, oh yeah, we wrote the estimate. But we didn't write it for Wanda Wilson, we wrote it for a guy named Kevin Moore. So I'm guessing that's probably who took Cardinal Roofing's guys into the attic and pointed out what they wanted in the estimate.
They knew it was a court case. We explained that to him. And he still said, yes, I will do it and find all the flaws and everything that they did wrong. Court case or not.
Judge,
He
I'd like
wasn't
to
afraid
finish,
to ask
I'd like
them
to
that.
finish asking Mr. Powell questions. If I
Good.
could.
Go ahead.
Mr. Powell, you took a look at the, each thing, each item noted by Cardinal Roofing,
Yes,
and could you?
no, I did not. I didn't go into the roof. I took a look at all the pictures.
I know, you
Okay,
looked at their estimate.
right.
And could you determine whether there was anything that ARS did that Cardinal Roofing wanted to redo?
No,
Okay, so,
I could see a lot of additional stuff they were gonna do. And I could see in their estimate that their $9,000 estimate was just to get the shingles off the roof and then start building on it.
right, the reason why I asked that is they don't have a problem with the work that our ARS did. Their problem is that the roof needed the work that Matt indicated was necessary and didn't want to do. But they said if you want us to do it right, they want all these other things done.
No.
Which when I actually talked to the guy who was in charge of writing the estimate, he said, one of the things that he noticed right off the bat, there was all kinds of repairs that had already been done with replacing studs, wall studs, all, so it was kind of like a continuation of the work that Wanda had already had started.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure what your numbers on your pictures are, because the ones we have, but you can see all through the pictures, the new studs and stuff that have been put in over the years. The end wall where they actually had to change out the studs, even in the end wall where the vents at. So a lot of the work that Cardinal was gonna perform was moving on with what had already been done. And I don't think that Matt had anything to do with any of that other stud replacement.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Ms. Wilson, do you have any questions for him?
If they had to put the boards in the roof that they quoted, $12,000 would buy a lot of boards for them to put in a little small strip of a board that was, it's in the picture, it's probably 4 inches they used for their board. That's not fixing somebody's roof. I want to know why they didn't use the boards that they quoted me for. Don't
Judge,
tell
that's a question,
somebody
that's a
that,
question for, she already
Not
had her
talking.
opportunity to cross-examine Matt Stroop. Mr. Powell is there to testify what he observed.
So
he
this
didn't
is
even go
just-
in the roof. He didn't go in the attic. He denied it. He said, I'm not going in your attic, because he would have seen it all.
Ma'am, just, you'll get a chance to testify too. Just, these are questions just for Mr. Powell. Just questions for him.
Mine? Sir?
I'm
My
sorry?
question? I wanted to know why he quoted $12,000 saying that they'd put boards up there, but didn't put a one. That's a
Okay,
question.
but I guess, Mr. Powell, if that question's for you. do you have
No,
any
it's
now?
for Matt, the
Well,
one that
we're
said I
past-
wouldn't let him in the
Ma'am,
yard.
I gotta follow unfortunately, I gotta follow the rules. We're past Mr. Stroop. We're on Mr. Powell now. Questions are just for Mr. Powell.
I can answer that, Your Honor. The very first time I talked to Wanda Wilson on the phone, she told me the reason she's not paying Matt Stroop is because he put a metal roof on her street, right down the road, and charged them less money than he charged her.
No, that's not what man, men are not hearing correctly. I said he did my cousin's also next door. And he did a complete metal roof over there for 6,000.
Ma'am, we're talking about two different things, so we gotta stick to your roof. That's
That's
just
what
where
he's
we're at.
bringing up though, is the neighbor.
Well, it's because you asked the question, so,
Yeah, about my boards.
okay. So, any other questions for Mr. Powell?
And the board she's talking about, Judge, I believe that Matt testified that he put 8 sheets of OSB on that house. Not 2 or 3 slivers.
You look at the pictures and find eight sheets.
You
They
can't
used
see them
one
because they're
sheet and
under your
cut it up.
shingles, Wanda. The 8
What?
sheets are under the 8 sheets are under your,
So they're in the
Underlayment. they're under
That's-
your shingles. They're
And they're
under
in,
everything.
listen, I have a walk-in attic that you can walk in. It's used to be a bedroom. And you can walk in and look all the way down from one end to the other and see
Judge,
every
she's
board.
testifying again. That's not question.
Yeah, ma'am, you'll get a chance to tell me your side. It's just questions.
Well,
for
then
you.
let me talk, sir,
Ma'am, we'll give you a chance. Just questions for you.
because for them to just sit and lie is. And I
She
gotta
didn't
eat.
have it. When me and Bill were in the yard, she told me that I was a liar, my family's a liar. I mean, just,
Yep, and you told me I was one.
you are, because you don't answer.
All right, all right, guys,
Go
Told me,
let's just.
what's that,
let's
your
just-
question?
Yeah,
Because
gonna-
you,
I'm giving
right
everybody a
in your
little leeway.
papers, you
I'm
lied.
just, Ms. Wilson, let's just I'm gonna take over now, okay? Mr. Powell, I do have a couple questions. You said you reviewed the repair estimate from Cardinal Roofing? And
yes.
all the pictures shown from, I guess, and they're not really numbered here. Showing from underneath the, within the attic area there. They're all showing what looks like just old original boards that were on the roof line. Do you know if the pictures that are shown here are part of the work that ARS did at all?
Well, I have to assume that some of it is, Your Honor, because I can see the new nails sticking through the roof
Okay,
on several of the pictures in the area that he claimed he put new sheeting and stuff on. You
okay,
can see the new nails that are sticking right through the roof. You can
Okay,
see
yep, I
some
see.
nails
yep,
in several of the pictures, you can see the new nails that are sticking through quite far. They're not rusty, there's no indication that they were there for very long.
okay,
But when you do look at the pictures, I mean, you see the insulation that's stuffed right at the bottom of the trusses. None of that's right. But that's got nothing to do with putting new shingles on a roof.
yeah.
Really? You
Okay.
can say
Well,
it.
and just because she brought it up, the pictures that depict, the nails sticking through the underlayment, I'm gonna call it underlayment, I guess. Is that uncommon?
No, not when you have that style of a roof, where you have all the gaps in the boards and stuff. You try to line it up. Like say you've got a gap in a board, you would try to lay your sheet over that
Yeah,
and nail it back down. But you take the shingles and stuff off the roof, and when they took all the layers off the roof, because that's not even the style of underlayment that they use.
yeah,
And I mean, it's just not, and as long as nobody takes the back off on that house and fixes those rafters, they're gonna continue to have a sagging problem. I mean, it's gonna be there. And them old houses, you just cannot get all that out of there. I got a house that's 25, 30 years old. I got a long draft on the back of one of my rooms on my own house that I built. And I can see some of them problems starting to occur in my own house.
So will you replace them with some boards or leave it?
Judge, she's done cross-examining Mr.
yeah,
Paul.
ma'am, let
It
me
was a
finish.
question,
Hold on,
plain
ma'am.
question.
You gotta follow. It's my turn. Yeah, let me just ask questions now. Let's see. So I guess, Mr. Powell, just to just summarize it, you went up under the roof and the roof, as you inspected it, appears to be in a journeyman standard of work. Is that true?
except for the area where it's settling down, where it needs those rafters replaced.
Okay, and in that particular part where you say that exception is, did that look like any work that was new work from like ARS or any?
No, you could actually see where the roof came down, and the shingles were actually flattened out for about 2 inches right at the bottom, and I'm gonna lay that on, that rafter rotting off. There's several of them in there where that insulation is tucked in so tight that they're not getting no draft for it, and it's not gonna stop until she fixes it.
Yeah, okay,
So I guess what I'm saying, Your Honor, is there's no way to lay the shingles like that without cracking them, or, I mean, they've just settled down over the last 2 or 3 years, and
that's
that's the
what
way
you
it
did.
is.
Okay,
I did see the boot that Matt talked about that needs repaired.
Yep.
Where the collar's gone off that, you can see that, at one time or another, right in the picture, you can see the collar was on there, because the pipe's a totally different color. We agreed, me and, Bill Stroop both agreed when we were there that that needs fixed.
okay. And was that part of the new work, I guess ARS work?
That's what Matt said that he was gonna go back and do, but she wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Mr. Dorr, anything else? Any?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, you may call your next witness.
A plaintiff for us.
Okay, Ms. Wilson, this is your chance to call your witnesses, including yourself. If you got other witnesses, you can call them as well. Do you have
I
other
don't have
witnesses?
witnesses.
Okay, you want to testify?
Yeah,
Okay, why don't you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
yes, sir.
Okay, all right, you can put your hand down. You can go ahead and I'll let you kind of narrate through it. And Mr. Dorr, if there's obviously some objections, just raise them when she goes along there. All right, Miss
Okay.
Wilson, you can go ahead.
So all this has to be questions to them?
Nope, this is your chance to tell me your side. This is all you know.
Well, starting out, Matt started out, he's lying from the get-go. He's never come over here and I said, get out of here, I'd call the cops. I would want my things fixed, not run them off. Why do you think Cardinal came out? Because they didn't put any boards. They said they'd put boards and $80 for every sheet thereafter. So that's where I thought $12,000 come in, because that would be some sheets of board. But they didn't. They cut little sheets of, it looks like siding, perhaps. I watched them. They hurried up and was trying to cover up those boards as fast as they could, because they didn't want to put boards down. And in those pictures, you can see one new board and it's cut up. It's not 8 sheets of anything. And Harry never made several attempts to call me. I have an answering machine. I have a telephone. And if he left any messages, it would be on there. And when I asked him about it, he said, I don't have to leave messages on your machine. Well, if you don't leave a message, how are you going to come over here? I won't know it. So then he said, well, one time I come over and you didn't answer the door. Well, that's not true either, because I have a dog that sits right there and he won't let nothing come through that gate that he won't bark at and let us know that there's someone entering. He said, I knocked one time and I left. That's not how you do business. Huh? The other elderly gentleman never spoke a word, never said a word. He just walked around. And the lawyer he put down in the paperwork that I wouldn't let Harry on my property. I ordered him off. And
Judge, I'm
Harry,
gonna object. That's irrelevant. That you
no, it
resolved
ain't
that with the
irrelevant,
motion some
not when
time
I'm
ago.
trying to
It
get
has
my
nothing to
point
do with-
across. And Harry stood right there and said, that's a lie, that I didn't order him off my property.
We're kind of past that. I already made decisions on that, so we got that squared away. Go ahead and continue. Ms. Wilson, you can continue.
I think I got my point across. I've sent you pictures. I've sent you Cardinal's reply. I've sent you all kinds of things that show there's no boards in the roof.
Do you have anybody from Cardinals here today to testify?
No, I have the form I've sent you.
And I've got that documentation which been stipulated to do for admission. So we've got the estimate, Cardinals estimate.
It's not that, it's not that it's not the estimate. It's that they didn't do the work that they told me they would do. They did a rush job and left. That's because they didn't want to fix, they didn't want to put boards on there. And they were kids.
Oh, terrible.
Okay, so ma'am, were you present when, I guess? When,
Pardon?
were you present when the building inspector came out and,
Yes, I
Inspected
was.
the
I'm the
work?
one that called him.
okay? It looks like he gave a final roof approval on August 31st, 2022, it looks like. Were you present for that?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Well, help me out with that. It looks like at that point, everything was deemed,
He was
Acceptable.
rude, snotty, and he told me that I should have climbed up on the roof and found the soft spots myself before my roof got that way. And I'm 70 years old.
okay,
I can't climb on the roof. I told him I can't climb on the roof. I have 3 heart stents and lupus. He didn't. He says, well, I can have them come back and do that ridge vent. I said, that ridge vent ain't bothering me. It's the boards they didn't use so that it'll cave in or leak.
how long, when was the work actually completed? Do you remember? Looks like the date was, the contract
May.
was signed was May 24th, 2022. So when was it completed? Like a few days after that or what?
Oh yeah, they come and went for a week or so.
We were there every day for a week. You know. We were there every day for a week roofing the house. There was no rush job. I went over there and talked to her, everything. So I'd say it would probably be about 17 days after that, or it was complete.
Ms. Wilson, does that sound about right?
With the
I don't
removal
know.
of
They came and went whenever they felt like it.
Okay. And it looks like the final inspection was August 31st, 2022. What? Can you tell me why that's such a long period of time from May to August? Ms. Wilson,
What,
to have that final inspection? Why,
what final inspection?
the one dated
From-
August 31st, 2022, the approval?
From
That was the
building
date that
inspector?
it was approved and the work started May 24th. I'm gonna say May 24th when the contract was signed.
And who are you talking about did the final approval?
Building inspector, the building inspector.
Because I had to call him 4 times to get him to come over. And then when I did, he had an attitude and a half.
I see.
I went up there and asked them if they got a permit, and they said, yes, they did. Cost them $90. And I said, well, my paper says they charged me $200. And the building inspector said, well, how do you think they make their money? And I said, how am I supposed to make mine on $1,000 a month Social Security? He was rude, snotty to me.
I guess, Mr. Dorr, if you don't mind me asking, just for Mr. Stroop real quick, I know it's out of turn, but we might as well, we're playing this back and forth a little bit. But do you mind, is that all right with you? I just got a
Yeah,
question
go
for
ahead.
Mr. Stroop. Mr. Stroop,
Yeah.
that delay for the final approval on the building inspector, is that reasonable for that time period from May to August?
Do they normally take that long? Is that what you're asking?
To come back out and give the final
They can.
approval?
They can. It varies in different counties because they're different building inspectors, but yeah, they can.
How busy they are.
Depending on how busy they are and stuff too.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
So the final usually gets done at their leisure.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. So,
But when you,
I guess
when you
Mr.
first-
Mr.
Ron,
Powell,
I'd like to tell you something also that everybody seems to be missing. When that roof's all tore off, you call the building inspector and he comes by and looks at it before you get to put the shingles back on. You get the ice and water shield all around the bottom. That's when he does his first inspection.
Yeah.
Then he tells you, go ahead and cover it up. And then just about everywhere I go, that building inspector will tell you that he's gonna come back at his leisure and do the final one, when he's in your area, when he has time. But he gives you the approval to go on at that point.
Okay.
So at that point, Matt's gotta have, or Stroop's roofing, whatever the hell it is, it's gotta have the ice and water shield on. It's gotta have the underlayment on, which is a synthetic material that I see these guys
Yep.
using. So
Yep.
that's all gotta be on there before he gets to put the shingles back on. And then,
We never-
then usually the building inspectors do it at their leisure, just like they say.
Okay. And Mr. Powell, just as long as you're talking about that too, the building inspector would not come out during that time period. Is that true?
No.
They're gonna, Mr. Stroop, did the building inspector come out at some point before the shingles actually got put
No.
out?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Miss
He did
Wilson?
not.
Miss Wilson, what, and you're saying he did not? What?
No,
how-
he did not. I called him 4 times just to get him out here.
Would
What
never
are
And
you
give
talking
you
about
that.
the final?
He would
What?
never give you that final.
Yeah, is that, you're talking about getting the final approval? Miss Wilson? is
Any
that what you-
approval.
Any approval? Okay.
Yes, he never came here.
Okay. All right, I guess I don't have any other questions. Mr. Dorr, do you have any questions for Miss Wilson? I guess that's where we left off.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Wilson, the final, anything else you want to tell me? I don't want to make you feel like I cut you off. Anything else?
It doesn't matter anyway. On my contract, it says they protect your bushes, your flowers. They smashed everything. They drug all my chips for my swing around the house. I know that stuff doesn't have to do with on top of the house, but you don't take the shingles and shove them off on people's plants and bushes in their front yard and then drag it to the backyard.
Did you ever complain about that?
I did to the building inspector.
Why
The
not,
boy I
why not
told
to
it-
AR, why
Huh?
didn't you go to ARS and tell them?
Excuse me, sir?
Why didn't you go to ARS and tell them?
I did tell ARS. I told him the whole yard was front and back was full of nails. My daughter was picking up handfuls of nails and bringing them in. And my grandson watched him out the window, and he stood there with a big magnet and rocked it back and forth with his foot. Never left the front of the house, not once. They
Okay.
wouldn't be there all over. I have a dog. I didn't want him to get his feet
Sure.
stuck with all them nails.
Sure.
Just lying.
All right. Mr. Dorr, I guess you get first shot. Do you have any final arguments for me then?
I think very briefly, Judge, there was a contract. The contract was negotiated both for price and scope of work. ARS testified that they did all the things that the contract provided for. The building inspector, according to the testimony of the plaintiff, building inspector did the approval of the underlayment and the decking before the shingles went on, and then the building
No.
inspector did the
He
final
never come
approval.
out.
Mr. Powell testified that it was done in a journeyman-like standard. And the defendant herself admits that in the last 3 years, it hasn't leaked. So clearly, the contract,
It hasn't leaked, but it's wavy. Cause they wouldn't use them any boards.
Judge, I
Just-
didn't interrupt her when she was
Yeah.
talking.
I know, I'm too.
It's a wonder.
Go ahead, Ms. Wilson, you gotta hold yourself to, I give you a chance. Mr.
So
Dorr.
anyway, I'm satisfied that the plaintiff did the work in a workmanlike manner and complied with the duties set forth in the contract. And it's clear that from the testimony that's undisputed, that Miss Wilson hasn't paid a dime in 3 years. So she's had the use of the roof for 3 years and hasn't paid a single dime, and which is the satisfies the term of the contract of the complaint that there's a breach. So there was contract compliance by the plaintiff, breach by the defendant, and the damage is $12,000. So we'd respectfully request a judgment in favor of plaintiff for $12,000.
All right, and Ms. Wilson, your
Hmm.
final argument. Okay.
Mr. Dorr is the third lawyer that Stroop called. The other two looked at my letter.
I'm gonna object, that's irrelevant. How many attorneys
Yeah,
are
it doesn't-
involved is irrelevant.
Ma'am,
Because I'm showing you that they wouldn't take the case. Because
Ma'am,
it
it
was
doesn't,
shitty.
hold on, it's not relevant to anything, okay? They've got an attorney that has nothing to do with the case, okay? So sum up why I shouldn't award them what they're asking for, the 12,000. Why shouldn't I do that?
Me,
Yeah, yep,
I've explained it and explained it to you.
okay. All right,
I don't understand why you don't understand it. You don't get it. You didn't look at anything yourself, so. And they're
Okay.
gonna lie.
okay. Ma'am, I've looked at all the documents you submitted. Don't do that to me. I've listened to you. I've got all the documents out. I'm gonna take a brief recess. I'll make a decision. Mr. Dorr, you did a final say. Is there anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, I'll take a brief recess, review my notes and review the documents that were stipulated to from both sides. I'll come right back on.
There's all lying. Every one of them. See, they're gonna.
Okay, we can go back on the record and we'll take a decision. Heard,
I got it.
there we go. Heard testimony from several witnesses. They had a chance to review all the documents that were admitted. That being the ARS construction contract between the parties, as well as numerous photos presented by plaintiff, and as well as a complete repair estimate from Cardinal Roofing, also including numerous photos of the roof itself. Did you find, based upon all the evidence, that there was this contract in place between the parties? This involved property at Genesee in Genesee Street in Montrose, Michigan. Do you find that that contract was entered into by both parties, ARS Construction as well as Wanda Wilson? The work to be performed was checked as a tear-off re-roof of the roof on this property. Do you find that there were several boxes were checked on what should be done to the work? Find that, given the testimony from both sides, the work was completed. There was also a permit pulled for the work to be done. That work that was done by the building inspector had a building permit number PB 222912. Do you find that that was paid for by the plaintiff that was doing the work? And a description on that, it says roof replace shingles, and which comports the testimonies taken. I also have included within the documents received, submitted a final approval by the building inspector that was dated August 31st, 2022, signed by the building inspector. Do you find, based upon the whole testimony, that the work was done on this roof in a journeyman standard work condition for this required on this roof? Find that that was done in satisfaction not only of the building inspector, but from testimony, I find that that work was completed in a workmanlike standard as well as journeyman standard of work. Do you find that the roof itself is problematic, but the plaintiff took this work on? It has 3 sections on this roof that were described, 2 newer sections on the outer edges and an older section in the middle, which was problematic and still is, quite frankly, for the residence itself. Do you find that the work complained of by the defendant is not the fault of ARS? In fact, her testimony was that there are no leaks in the last 3 years, but it's wavy. That waviness on that roof was, in my judgment, based upon all the testimony, is based upon the condition of the house structure itself. It does need to have some work done, looks like, to the trusses underneath and the underlying condition of the home itself, causing this wavy. I do find, based on testimony of Mr. Powell, who again was qualified as an expert in construction work and roofing in particular, do find his explanation for the waviness of the roof does comport with the condition of the house itself, and that's not a fault of ARS, not with the work that they did. Do find that the only thing that was not completed that needed to be completed was a collar around the chimney pipe. But I do find, based upon the complete testimony of all sides, that for whatever reason, Ms. Wilson was upset with ARS enough that she was not allowing them to come in and complete that work. We find testimony by Mr. Struve was credible. I do find testimony by Ms. Wilson was credible, but in parts, I don't think she quite understands the factual circumstance of her roof. Ms. Wilson did testify that she watched plaintiff, that being ARS, didn't place what she described as new boards. I do find that all the work was completed, though, based upon the totality of the testimony, and in particular, building inspectors, approval. And the testimony that there was an inspection in between before the shingles were in place. I do find that testimony credible as well. I don't see any evidence showing that the building inspector was not doing his job in this inspection either. Therefore, judgment for, I do find that there was no way to ARS's credit at this point. They haven't really pressed being paid. The contract was for $12,000. There's been no payments on this job. I do find it's time that $12,000 needs to be paid to ARS through the defendant, Miss Wilson, Wanda Wilson. Judgment per plaintiff in the amount of $12,000 plus court costs. Mr. Dorr, do you know what your court costs are right offhand?
I don't, Judge. I'll have to go back and tabulate it all.
Okay.
I'll court costs, and then I gotta tabulate interest, and then I'll tabulate whatever the statutory attorney fee is.
I was gonna ask if you'll do that for me. I'll take a look at it and make sure that those fees are reasonable and it comports to what's been submitted as court costs as well.
Okay,
But if you'll do that for me, send in a proposed judgment, I'll take a look at it, and if it looks.
now I'll do it by 7 days.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll do it by 7-day order.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, and I apologize for both sides for being as late in the day as it is with this matter. Sorry about that. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, guys, good luck to everybody. Yeah, and is that it, Mr. Dorr? I guess, is that?
That's
that
it.
covered?
Thank you very much.
All right,
All right.
Miss Wilson, good luck to you too. All right.
All right. We will go on the record, the Zoom record. Case is entitled State of Kansas versus Elizabeth Rosa Rogers, 24 CR 465. State of Kansas appears by Assistant Butler County Attorney Amber Norris. The defendant, Ms. Rogers, appears in person and by court-appointed counsel Jorge De Hoyos. And also appearing at this time is Court Service Officer Tony Bauer. This matter does regularly come back before the court this date for sentence. In anticipation of sentence, the court has ordered a pre-sentence investigation report. The court has received the same. I trust the counsel for the state and the defendant have received a copy. And before proceeding any further, is there any objection to the criminal history as set forth, which does indicate a criminal history score I as in ice? Ms. Norris?
No objection, Your Honor.
And Mr. De Hoyos?
No objection, Your Honor.
Court finds no objection to the criminal history as set forth. Therefore, it does become part of the basis for sentence herein. Before proceeding to sentence, the court will listen to recommendations from respective counsel as to appropriate sentence, beginning with the state and Ms. Norris.
Your Honor, there is a motion to depart that was filed by Mr. Oyos. And then also the victim is present and will want to address the court, and possibly one of her family members may also want to address the court.
Thank you, Ms. Norris. The court will proceed with the departure motion by the state, by the defense, and Mr. Oyos.
So, Judge, in this matter, I have filed a departure motion for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the incredible youth of my client. At this time, she's 19 years old. And Judge, I'm 37. I can tell you 18 years ago when I was 19, I was making terrible mistakes too. And if somebody hadn't taken mercy on me, I would not have become the criminal defense lawyer I am today. So I think sometimes people her age have to bounce off a rock bottom, but should not be left there. Instilling a probation agreement today, or a probation sentence today, allows you to demonstrate to her the power this court has over her, because she just spent the last 8 months in custody. She understands any mishap on probation means she's looking at substantial prison time, and she's only 19. Now, in this matter, there was a co-defendant. That co-defendant was in her 40s, and that co-defendant has a significant criminal history, the kind of which that Ms. Rogers has no business getting anywhere near. But by putting her faith in Ms. Scott, Ms. Rogers ended up in a terrible place in a terrible way. And Judge, for all these reasons, and it not given just that her lack of criminal history, lack of a juvenile record, her age and immaturity, and the fact that there was a co-defendant who played a significant role in the matter, I think you have a young woman here who can learn if given the opportunity. But we have to make that decision today. So Judge, I'm imploring you to issue a probation sentence in this matter. That probation be 36 months with whatever conditions the court believes appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. De Hoyos. And victim statement by individual. And Ms. Norris, do you know the victim's name?
Yes, Your Honor, that's Ms. Zilke, Beverly Zilke, on the screen under, looks like Gil or Gilly.
And the court would refer the court to being addressed by Beverly Zilke. Beverly Zilke.
Yes, say it. Yes, yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And statements to the court, Miss Beverly Zilke.
Yes.
Would you like to state anything to the court?
Well,
This is your opportunity.
what do you want? I don't understand. I've never done this before. So what?
That's a good thing. You haven't ever done this before.
No.
That's a good thing. What would you like to advise the court in regards to the crime that you were a victim in regards to the defendant? Her name is Elizabeth Rosa Rogers. What would you like to tell the court? This is your opportunity.
Do I tell them what happened? Is that tell them the story of what happened through me?
That's fine. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will do that. I'll start from the beginning of that day. She called me because she lived down the hall from where I live in the same apartment building. And she asked if she could come and borrow a cookbook. And I said, yes. And so I thought I was waiting for her to come to my house, which was just down the hall. And the door knock came and I thought, oh, there she is. But it was a friend of hers, her friend. And she said, is she here yet? And I said, no. And she said, could I come in and wait? She said she would be here. And I said, well, okay. And she came in and sat in the living room. And about 5 minutes later, I can't even, her name is Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth showed up and I took her in the back room where I had a bunch of I have a collection of cookbooks. So she sat down and we started looking. Me and her friend went in the living room and sit and talked. And then her friend, and Wendy, her name was Wendy, her friend. And she said, let's go back and see what she's doing. Or I'm going back and see what she was doing. I said, okay. So she went back and I waited about a few minutes and I thought, I'm going back there too. I went back there. I took a hold of the door and it was locked. And I thought, well, what's this? And I went and reached the door again and it was unlocked. So they heard me turn the lock and unlocked it. I went in and Elizabeth was looking at the cookbooks and pointing out different recipes and talking. And all of a sudden she started rolling on the floor and saying, oh God, my stomach, oh. And Wendy said, oh, she's been to the hospital before for this. She needs to get to the emergency room. Could you possibly take us? And I said, Okay. I'm babysitting my daughter's dog because my daughter went on a cruise and I'll take her with me. And they said, that's okay. So we all walked down and got in my car, which was a brand new car, and it still had the paper tag on the back. I hadn't even had a chance to get a car tag. And we started, and I didn't know where what emergency room they were headed for. So I said, you'll have to guide me. I don't know where to go. And they said, that's okay. We'll do that. And we got on the highway, went to Kellogg, went down, and there's a little town just outside, way east of Wichita, Andover. And I thought that's where we were going, to an emergency room there. And there's two stoplights before you hit one, and there's a filling station across the street. And then you go up the next one and you hit Andover. And I was going to go straight on, and Wendy said, no, you turn here on the first turn. And it took me on a country road, and we drove and drove and drove on the country road. And I said, well, where is this place? Where is it at? And she said, it isn't too much further. And we drove and drove, and I had taken my daughter's little dog with me, and she was standing, she had her little feet on my leg and had her little paws on the window looking out. And then all of a sudden we kept driving, and I just stopped the car in the middle of the country road. And I said, we've been on the highway, we've been driving a long, long time. You told me this wasn't very far. We've gone a long way. How much further is this place? And at that point, that Wendy got out of the back seat, and she yanked the door open, and she said, you give me your car and your purse. And I said, no, I won't do that. That's my car. It's my car. And it was brand new. It still had the paper tag on it. And I had my purse. And she said, give it to me. And I said, no, I won't do that. It's my car, my purse. She started pulling on my arm, and she had long fingernails. And I kept yanking my arm, trying to get it away. And Elizabeth was shoving on my back to shove me out, and the other girl was pulling my arm to pull me out of the car. And I had my hand on the steering wheel, and my feet was braced on the floor trying to stay in the car. And they kept shoving and pushing, and both of them. One was pulling my arm, and Elizabeth was shoving on me on my back, trying to shove me out. And I won for a long time, but finally I wore out because I am 87 years old. And they threw me in the dirt on the country road, in the dirt, and sped off in my car, which it was a new car. I still had the paper tag on it. And I didn't know where Chloe was, my daughter's dog. And I kept looking and looking, and I finally walked down the country road, and I went to a farmhouse. There was no one home. So I kept walking down the road to the next farmhouse, and there was a man there, and he said, oh, and I said, could I please borrow your phone? My car and my purse was stolen, and I was thrown out of my car on the country road. And I said, I need help. I need to have the police come. And so he said, oh my goodness. And he went in and called the police, the ambulance, the fire truck, I don't remember what all showed up. The sheriff, the policeman, they all showed up at this farmhouse, and they wanted to know if I wanted to go to the hospital. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to find my daughter's dog because I'm scared. They took my daughter's dog. I don't know if she got out of the car or not. And I said, and my purse and my car is brand new. They took my car. And so anyway, the police started looking for the dog to see if it was, because I didn't know if they took my dog or not, the dog. And then the sheriff, some of the others then finally left, the ambulance and all of the other things, the police and and the sheriff said, well, why don't we get in the car and we'll go to my station? And I said, that's fine. So I got in the car with him and went there, and we were there till early hours in the morning. And I don't remember, he had 5 or 6 TVs with all the police in the city were looking for my car. And they were making reports on all of those 5 TVs that he had in his office. And he finally said, you know what, we're not going to find that tonight. Why don't I take you home? And I said, okay. And that was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning when he finally said that. And this happened at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when they did all of this. And I was with him till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, okay, because I'm so tired and haven't eaten, and I need to get home. And so we got ready and was at the door and just opening the door to go out into my car, into his car, the sheriff. And he got another beep and yelling on the TVs. He had 5 TVs in that other room that police were reporting every time they saw a Nissan car like mine. And he said, oh, there's let's run back. I've got to get this. And he ran back and he says, they found her. They found the car. He said, we'll get in the car and we're going to go to where it's located. They've located it and the police are there now. And I said, oh, good. So I went with him. I drove with him, rode with him to the place which they had picked up Wendy. And I sat in the car like 2 hours or something while they were taking pictures and doing all kinds of stuff. And then he took me home, and they said they had found the car, and I did forget to say, when I was there, that Wendy threatened. She held her purse up in the air, and she said, "Do you see my purse?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, well, I have a gun in it. I have used it before, and I'm not afraid to use it again, and I will. And well, then they threw me out in the dirt and took me off in my car. And so anyway, then he finally took me home about 6 o'clock in the morning, because it took all that time, whatever they did at that house, when they picked up Wendy with my car at that point. Oh, I don't know what to say now. That's what happened. I'm telling you what happened.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Zilke. The court would be interested in your perspective on whether the defendant, Ms. Rogers, whether the court should grant the motion for probation, whether you're advocating for a prison sentence. How do you wish for the court to dispose of Ms. Rogers?
I think that she deserves to go to prison, because I was very good to her. I was very kind to her. I didn't really know her, but she lived down the hall from me, and she did all of them horrible things. I never did anything at all. I said hi when I saw her, because we both had cars in the parking lot. I saw her when I'd go out and get in the car, and I'd always say hi. I mean, I was very nice to her. It was never not nice. I've never done anything like that in my entire life. I've never been in a police situation in my life, and I'm 87 years old.
Thank you, Ms. Zilke. And further recommendations as to sentence and defendant's departure motion by the state, Ms. North?
Your Honor, just real quickly, is there a member of Ms.
Yes, Wendy wants to, yes.
Yes, Wendy wanted to speak.
Okay.
Excuse me, and there's another statement for the victim to be made. And ma'am, if you could please give your name and relationship, if any, to Miss Zilke?
My name is Wendy K. Dwyer. She is my Aunt Beverly. I'm her niece.
Thank
And
you.
let me start.
Please proceed.
First of all, I want to ask Elizabeth, what the hell were you thinking that day to take advantage and threaten an elderly 87-year-old lady? I need you, Elizabeth Rosa Rogers, to understand
Judge,
how
I have to
horrific.
intervene here. Judge, it is not proper for anybody to address my client except me and the court. By law, the witness is allowed to address
I
the
did it
court.
with Wendy.
Judge, forgive me. Judge, I'm asking that direct questions to my client
I'm not
be
asking
prohibited.
questions. Oh, okay. That was a statement question.
The court does sustain the objection by Mr. De Hoyos on behalf of the defendant herein, his client. The court would ask that you just address the court, please. And once
Okay.
again, could I get your name? It's Wendy and the last
Wire,
name.
Dwire.
Thank you, Ms. Dwyer. Please proceed.
Okay, I need her, Elizabeth Rosa Rogers, to understand how horrific the crime her and her friend Wendy Sincere Scott committed really was. I do believe you was the mastermind behind the whole plan, and then you included your friend Wendy. I feel this because you had recently, days before, befriended Beverly when you were crying about losing custody of your baby for certain reasons, and you asked her about cookbooks. For some reason, you sent Wendy to her door first, and my aunt had never met Wendy prior to this incident. Then a short time later, you showed up to the door and went into the room with the books and closed the door.
Please
Leaving Wendy.
proceed, Ms. Dwyer. Please proceed a little bit more slowly in
Okay.
case the matter would need to
Okay.
be
Okay.
transcribed at a later date. So
Okay.
please
I'll start that.
proceed just a
Okay, I'll
little
start
bit
that
more
paragraph
slowly.
over. Okay, I do
Thank you.
believe you was the mastermind behind this whole plan, and then you included your friend Wendy. I feel this because she had recently, days prior, befriended Beverly when Elizabeth was crying about losing the custody of her baby for reasons, and then asked her about cookbooks. For some reason, she sent Wendy to her door first, and my Aunt Bev had never met Wendy prior to this incident. Then, a short time later, Elizabeth showed up to the door and went into the room with the books and closed the door, leaving Wendy with Beverly. Then eventually, Wendy got up and went into the room with Elizabeth, and also shut the door. When Aunt Bev decided to see what they were doing, the door was locked and then instantly became unlocked. After Beverly entered, Elizabeth was the one who faked the horrible stomach cramps and said she needed medical attention and needed a ride. She also stated her insurance was only good at one medical facility in Andover, Augusta. I'm not sure. This put the three of them in the car, including Chloe, her daughter's dog, whom she was dog sitting for. This is where Elizabeth's plan included stealing her car and purse. She was threatened and injured while being pushed and pulled and shoved out of her car onto a gravel dirt country road. She lay there watching as her car, her purse, and her grand dog baby, whom she loves, took off without her. Then you all went joyriding with boyfriends and shopped using her credit cards. The fear and trauma this has caused on my aunt is horrible. She has lost all trust in people and now lives her life in fear. What you and your friend did shows your character and who you are as a person, which is downright cold with no feelings towards others. I hope you take this time away to really reflect on your life and all the lives you have hurt along the way. I also hope your grandma, your mom, your daughter, aunt, or whomever you may care about never has to go through something that's scary, traumatizing, that my aunt had to live through and continues to deal with every day. Judge, her partner Wendy received 23 years, and I don't know if she should get that much time, but she definitely deserves time. Time enough she really thinks and feels what she did was wrong, and she needs to change her life and maybe work on getting her child back.
Thank you, Ms. Dwyer. further
Yes, please.
victim statements? Any further victim statements
No.
that you may know about from the state?
No, Your Honor,
Ms.
thank you.
Norris?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. And recommendation as to sentence from the state, Ms. Norris?
Your Honor, state recommends on count one, the kidnapping, 55 months in the Department of Corrections. Defendant would be able to earn up to 15% good time credit and will be subject to 36 months post-release. And Your Honor, this is a registration required offense. And Your Honor, regarding count three, 31 months in the Department of Corrections for mistreatment of a dependent adult. And on count four, criminal threat, 5 months in the Department of Corrections. In keeping with the plea agreement, state recommend that those counts run concurrent and that the court follows a presumption of prison. Defendant has earned 247 days of jail time credit as of this date. Ask the court assess the cost of the action to the defendant. Court will need to address court-appointed attorney's fees and the bids application fee. And Your Honor, there is restitution joint and several with the co-defendant of $1,000. And that relates to charges made on the cards, etc. And Your Honor, the co-defendant was ordered to pay that in her case in front of Judge Ricky. And Your Honor, regarding the motion to depart, state is not agreeing and actually it opposes the request that counsel makes on behalf of the defendant. Your Honor, the defendant doesn't have any criminal history, but these crimes, the kidnapping, mistreatment, and criminal threat are all very serious, all are person crimes. And as Ms. Zilke already said to the court, she's 87 years old. These were this was a very calculated situation. It was planned. It was executed. She was injured in the process. Your Honor, I see no substantial and compelling reasons to depart for these types of crimes. And yeah, it is unfortunate that she really doesn't have any history and that she is so young, but she made these decisions. She made these choices, and Your Honor, she should be held accountable. And we would ask the court deny the motion to depart to probation, and that the court send the defendant to the presumptive sentence of at least 55 months in the Department of Corrections. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Norris. And recommendation as to sentence, Mr. De Hoyos?
So, Your Honor, first of all, let me express my sincerest condolences to the victim and to her family. I firmly agree that nobody should have to go through what they endured, and I pray that nobody ever does. That being said, Judge, if you told me that you sent somebody to prison for kidnapping and mistreatment of an elder person, I think everybody on God's green earth would tell you they're not surprised. But if I told you that the state paid for an education, and that education was 4 years prison as opposed to 4 years at a state university, I think all of us would be looking at each other going, what are you talking about? $33,000 a year is what it costs to keep somebody in custody. So if the state gets what they want, it's $130,000 being spent to house Ms. Rogers. Now, we do have to have a cause and effect on her. We do have to punish her so that she understands our society has limits and has limitations. And I can appreciate why nobody else besides me and Ms. Rogers might be asking for her to go to probation. If the court is going to insist on a prison time, we should do something that is appropriate and perhaps even proportional to how long this child has been alive. To that end, Judge, I'd ask that if you're not going to consider probation for Ms. Rogers, then perhaps you should consider half of the called for number at 55 down to, what would that be, 27 months. That's still 2 years plus of prison time that Ms. Rogers gets. It's 10%
Anyone's time served.
of her life right now.
3 months. And he's playing.
The victims are not unmuted. There you go. Sorry, Judge. That's still 10% of this young woman's life. It will provide a substantial compelling reason not to ever find yourself in this kind of trouble again. But I don't think that we gain anything with 4 years against Ms. Rogers as opposed to putting her, if necessary, in prison for long enough for the message to stick, but not long enough to ruin her life.
Thank you, Mr. De Hoyos. And Ms. Rogers, prior to the court pronouncing judgment and sentence upon you, is there anything you would like to state in mitigation of your sentence.
I would just like to say that I do apologize to Miss Zelke about everything that happened, and it honestly was not a planned thing. I didn't know that it was going to happen, and I should have done more to help you, and I apologize that I didn't. I'm really sorry about, just my choices as a person, as a human being, because I made poor choices, and I'm sorry. I just hope that you accept my apology and hope that you know that I am a good person, and I don't think that I deserve probation. I think that I do deserve to go to prison because what happened was just horrible. And if it happened to my grandma, I would feel the same way. And I would feel like, I would feel like that person that did it to my grandma would deserve to go to prison for the rest of their life. Even though I don't think I deserve that. I'm 19 years old and I made a bad decision and I understand that. And I understand that there's repercussions to that decision. And I just hope that you guys have mercy on me, please.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Do you know of any reason why the court should not pronounce judgment and sentence upon you here today?
No.
And Mr. De Hoyos?
I have no known reason, Judge.
Ms. Rogers, it is the order, judgment, and decree of this court that you're hereby sentenced to the care, custody, and control of the Secretary of Corrections, State of Kansas, to serve 55 months in prison. This is as to count 1, kidnapping to facilitate flight or commission of a crime, severity level 3, person felony. Count 3, the court sentences you for mistreatment of dependent adult or elder person to 31 months in prison. On count 4, criminal threat, severity level 9, person felony, court sentences you to 5 months in prison. The court does run those sentences concurrent, all at the same time. Subsequently, the court has taken into consideration the departure motion that has been filed on your behalf in the case and argued by Mr. De Hoyos here today. The court does overrule and deny the same. The court does advise you that this is a registration offense and you do need to be in compliance with that registration. The court does run, once again, all these sentences concurrent to each other at the same time. It would appear to the court that there have been some considerations given to you in regards to the use of mitigated numbers in your sentencing. The standard sentence herein would have been 59 months, and the mitigated sentence is 55 months. And that's what was recommended. That's what is adopted by the court here today. Also, the state could very well have requested the court to run your sentences consecutive to each other, which would have added approximately 36 months on top of the 55 or whatever the base sentence would be. That did not happen. This was concurrent sentencing herein. The court does order restitution in the sum. I believe that this is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. $1,000 in restitution for use of credit cards.
Correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. And once again, the court is finding that there have not been substantial and compelling reasons presented to the court to grant your departure motion. Subsequently, pursuant to KSA 22-3608C, the court does advise you that you shall have 14 days after the judgment of the district court to appeal your sentence. The court advises you pursuant to KSA 21-4619G of any expungement rights you may have. And the court does advise you of your prohibition of possession of any firearms. And once again, the court does notify you of your duty to register herein. Any other matters to come before the court? Ms. Norris?
Your Honor, I assume that you're waiving attorney and bids fees.
The court finds that Ms. Rogers, due to her incarceration, will not have the financial wherewithal for reimbursement of court-appointed legal fees nor the bids application fee. Any other matters, Ms. Norris?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
And Mr. De Hoyos?
No, Your Honor, thank you for the court's time.
Your Honor, because there's restitution, the court has to set basically a payment plan, or you can also order that they be immediately due. But the court does need to make some sort of a ruling regarding repayment.
That's fine. There's going to be a substantial, there's jail time credit at 247 days. So that's about, I think, 8-9 months. I think it'd be appropriate to repay this at $50 per month. $50 will be the order of the court for reimbursement of restitution for the $1,000 that was wrongfully used as from the victim's credit cards.
And Your Honor orders that joint and several with the co-defendant.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Yes. Ms. Rogers, good luck to you. It would appear to me that the state, your counsel, have negotiated a plea herein, presented the same to the court. It appears to be a reasonable sentence based on what occurred. I wish you well, and I hope that your life does improve from this, what it must be a very low point. There being nothing further to come before the court is in recess. Good luck to you.
Lord Wade. Yes.
Mr. Wade, please come forward. It's 2 cases, Your Honor, and the state has agreed to probation. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Abrams, I'll take this, but then he can come back this afternoon for you to go over conditions. So you're gonna need to come back this afternoon
Yes, ma'am. Let's talk to her. That's
to
fine.
talk to probation. I need to make sure everyone has their lunch break, okay?
That's fine. Yes, ma'am.
All right, the court is calling 2025 CR 004949 and 2025 CR 004950, State versus Gerard Michael Wade. Could I have parties announced?
For the state of Texas, Your Honor.
James Seeloff for the defense.
Counsel, in each of the cause numbers, did you review the discovery with your attorney? I'm sorry, sir, did you review the discovery with your client?
With myself and my client.
And have you received all discovery?
Yes, I believe I did.
All right, in each cause number, the court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Wade, in each cause number, did you review the application for deferred adjudication with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
In each cause number, did you review the true bill of indictments with your attorney? Did you understand them?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, we do.
State, in each cause number, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Wade, in each cause number, did you review the court admonishments with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
And for 9, you're charged with evading arrest, detention with a vehicle. And the cause number ending in 50, you're charged with assault on a public servant. Those are 3rd-degree felonies. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, The fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you, and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses. And by entering this plea, you are giving up those rights. Did you understand that? And did you intend to give up those rights? And did you understand that you are also giving up the right to remain silent? And did you intend to give up? And did you intend to give up that right? Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 10 years in the prison in each of these cause numbers and up to a $10,000 fine? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, he has.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I believe he does.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I think he was.
Mr. Wade, in each of these cause numbers, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
In each cause number, the court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. In each cause number, did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And each cause number, according to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 10 years in the prison. You're not
Probated for 6.
well, no, it says that the box is checked that there is no application for deferred adjudication. And then the state is opposed to deferred adjudication. So is there?
The state is recommending community supervision, but the state is opposed to deferred. You're recommending
Okay.
probation. If the state checked the wrong box, I'm sorry.
And
Judge.
that's okay. Any objections to the court correcting the boxes?
None from the state.
No objection, Your Honor.
It happens. I don't know why they make these so complicated. So
Too much.
the state is opposed to your application for deferred adjudication. The state is recommending community supervision. The cases are to run concurrently. There's to be restitution to Stephen Enriquez. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure? All right, so let me explain it to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, that was the fee for the officer?
Yeah, that's gonna be a hearing later on to
Okay, yes, ma'am.
determine his sprained finger.
Yes,
If it
ma'am.
costs anything.
All right, you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
So according to the plea, the state is recommending community supervision, but they don't want you to have deferred adjudication. You understand that?
You understand?
All right, so community
Okay.
supervision is a
probation.
form of probation,
Yes, ma'am.
but it's a felony conviction on your record. Deferred adjudication is a form of probation, but it is not a felony conviction on your record. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So the state, they're agreeing to your having a felony conviction and giving you probation. They don't want you to have the form of probation where you don't have a felony conviction. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
That was
Defense, is
our,
that the plea?
that was our understanding.
State, is that the plea?
That is the plea, Judge.
And you do understand that I determine whether or not you receive deferred or not.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
understand that?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
After hearing arguments from both parties.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No motion.
Outside the agreement, the state is recommending that your community supervision be for a term of 6 years. There be 100 hours of community service restitution, defensive driving, and no contact with the complainant. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
That's our understanding. That's outside our plea agreement. Okay?
So in cause number 2025 CR 004949, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Contest.
And in cause number 2025 CR 004950, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yes.
State any evidence to support the plea?
State authors States Exhibit 1 with all attachments to both cases respectively.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, in each cause number, did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine any witnesses? The state will call in the right to remain silent.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you applied for deferred adjudication. All right, so this is what I can do because the state is opposed to your application for deferred adjudication. I can reset this in a couple of weeks. You can bring whatever witnesses you want to bring. The state will give me his criminal history and we can go from there. And then I'll make a decision on whether or not deferred or.
Do you want to do that, or do you want just probation from the bench today?
I'm not trying, I just want probation. I want to get this over with, man.
Well, let me just tell you. So here's the thing. People say they want to get things over with, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they don't think about the consequences of their actions. What I'm telling you is your attorney has applied for deferred adjudication. Not getting this over with right now, maybe I'll give you deferred adjudication and you won't have a felony conviction. But if you want to get this over right now, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a felony conviction, and that felony conviction is going to follow you wherever you go like a ball and chain. And it's going to affect your ability to get employment if that's what you're intending to do. But if you want to go for it, I'll go for it. You'll be found guilty and you'll receive your regular probation, and it's going to be a conviction on your record.
Which way do you want to go?
How old are you?
31, ma'am.
31. You don't need to look at your attorney to make a decision. Do you want to be a felon?
No, ma'am, I don't want, I'm a driver.
He's a truck driver, Your Honor, so it will
Yes,
affect his livelihood down the road. However, I told him that it may or may not, who knows, 6 years down the road under this administration, will there be truck drivers, but be that as it may, you have a choice today.
I just want to take the probation, ma'am. I mean, that's what we.
Do you understand? We can go off the record. Do you understand what you're saying to me? You're saying to me that you want a felony conviction. And what I'm telling you is, according to your plea bargain agreement, if I give you a felony conviction and you mess up on it, you're looking at 10 years in the prison. If you end up with deferred adjudication, you don't have a felony conviction. And if you mess up on it, you're looking at 10 years prison. So you're telling the court that you want to take the easy way out and get a conviction on your record. So you can be the felon. Felon Wade. Is that what you want?
No, ma'am.
So why do you need to look at your attorney to make a determination on whether or not you want to come back in 2 weeks? Because maybe in 2 weeks, maybe I'll give you deferred adjudication. Maybe your attorney is going to present something to me that will tell me that you're deserving of deferred adjudication. Maybe the state is going to come back to me and say, this is the only thing he has. He doesn't have any other criminal history. So what do you want to do?
What should we do? Ma'am, I don't know the land of the law. I'm just here.
I'm going to help you out. We're coming back in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. So in 2 weeks' time, Ms. Ferguson, give me a 2-week reset.
July 10th.
All right. So we're going to come back in July 10th. And at that time, the court will make a determination on your application.
It's July 10th at 9 o'clock in this courtroom. Okay.
All right.
I'll give them a reset. Don't leave without the reset. Judge, is it going to be a tap as well?
No. You're waiving PSI, counsel?
I was going to.
All right. So the PSI is being waived.
It's waived.
For sentencing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Judge. What you can do is see if we have a-
Cloud, are you here?
He's in the box, Your Honor.
Mr. Cloud, come down. All right, Mr. Cloud, your attorney is out sick.
Okay, how you doing this morning?
Doing okay? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, but best that I can be, you know what I mean? I'm stuck
All
in
right,
jail.
okay, so
I
here,
got a couple of objections I'd like to make though about this indictment I got.
all right, so that needs to be done through your attorney.
Well, I haven't talked to the dude, I don't know where he's at. And
He's
so
sick.
He's always sick, he's supposed to see me in the jail on.
All right,
like-
so let me talk to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so right now you're coming at me at 100. My suggestion is you put it on 80.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so then that means lowering your voice.
Okay, I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I mean, I talk loud. Am I talking too loud or something?
Yes, you're talking very loud, and usually people up here and whisper. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I was a Marine. I'm used to talking loud. I want to get my point across. That's all.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, talk overly loud for me to hear you and get your point across.
I'm talking as low as I possibly can.
Okay.
Right here,
All right. So what I'm telling you is your plea deadline date is today.
Okay.
Your attorney is ill, so your attorney cannot be here. Your attorney's not gonna be here. Yeah, well-
Because, I mean,
Mhm.
really, I have a couple of objections, because he hasn't done his job, he ain't come to see me. There's evidence that needs to be, brought to light. Some concealment of information that has not been, stowed. When I read the, reports, I seen that there was ambiguous natures that was also on the, indictment that I was.
So I want you to hear me. So time out. This is the thing. I want you to hear me.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So all of the information that you're giving me right now, that
Yeah.
you're saying the indictment is incorrect, it does no good to give you that, for you to give me that information now. You know why? Because your attorney is not here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reset this case for the week of July 7th. Your attorney will be here, and if your attorney is not here, then we'll address that issue as well. What date, Ms. Ferguson? All right, July 7th. All right, and this is what the other thing I want to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what was happening between you and the deputy, but
Well,
in
he was-
no. In this courtroom, I require that everyone treat everybody with respect.
Yeah, he came at me foul though, so I'm.
No, let me just tell you. Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what I've discovered in my time on the planet and my time in working in courts. If you have a judge who is rude and disrespectful to people,
Mhm.
then you know what ends up happening? Everybody on the staff, everybody in court thinks, oh, the judge is rude to people, so it's okay to be rude to people. I don't have people be rude to people. I'm not rude to anybody. So what I can tell you is the deputies, they're not my employees, but I know they're not rude to people. The staff, they're not my employees, but I know they're not rude to people.
Okay.
The people I'm in charge of hiring is the court coordinator and the court reporter. And guess what? They're not rude to people because I'm not rude to people, and I don't tolerate people to be rude to people. So here's the thing. When you are frustrated over something, that doesn't mean that you take your frustration out over nope. You don't take your frustration out on other people, because guess what ends up happening? What ends up happening is everybody shuts down. Nobody's listening because you're coming at them in a certain way.
Okay.
So your attorney's not here. There's nothing I can do about your attorney not being here because your attorney is ill. What I can tell you is your attorney was here on April 25th. Your attorney was here on June 2nd. Your attorney is ill. It happens. I don't think he was standing outside saying, please let me get sick so I can't come to court. So we're going to bring you back on July 7th. On July 7th, your attorney will be here and you can discuss what issues you feel you have that are valid concerns or valid motions, and he will talk to you about that.
Okay, well, can I ask you a question? Because
Sure.
the case has been dismissed, right? And they indicted me, and I've been asking him, when you gonna file a motion to suppress, do this and that? He hasn't done his point. He hasn't done his job. He's ineffective. I'm like, dude, can you do something about it? I'm gonna come visit you. Doesn't come visit me. 183 days go by, okay?
Mhm.
I've already had a section 17, 1.15 violation where they didn't even give me, DA didn't give me no liberty on that. I'm on parole. So I wanted to go home at that time. I breed dogs and I can't have my liberty to be free at a time when I'm supposed to, because you didn't indict me. And then you indict me at 145 days later, and then my parole sticks me, have to be stuck in jail. I'm tired of being locked up. And then you dismiss the charge. There's the inadequacy of the charge. It doesn't make any sense. The charge is dismissed. Why do I gotta stay in jail and have to put up with nonsense if the charge is already dismissed?
All right,
That's
so
a crazy
what I'm
thing.
telling you is that your charges have not been
They're
dismissed.
using the charge in the as the indictment. I understand that, yes.
Yeah, so your charges have not been dismissed.
But
And this is the thing. I always tell people to listen.
okay.
And what I told you was, it does no good for you to tell me about how you think your case should be dismissed because your attorney is not here. Now, if you just want me to listen to it, I will listen to it, but it does no good for me to listen to it because you have an attorney and your attorney is not here. Your attorney is ill. So we will bring you back on July 7th and we will hear that.
I understand that, but understand where I'm coming from. I'm objecting because I never even evaded arrest, and this this is just a bunch of nonsense.
Okay, so let me ask you
It makes no
this.
sense.
Let me ask you this. Are you talking to me about your case?
The indictment and the case itself, I never evaded arrest at all. Okay, the problem was existing.
No. Here's my question. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Are you talking to me about your case?
The indictment and the case is involved with the indictment, of course.
All right, that's either yes or no. Is that what
Indeed, I am. Yes.
All right, so did I not say that it does no good for you to speak to me about your case because you have an attorney and that attorney needs to be here? Your attorney is ill, so we're bringing you back on July 7th. All right?
All right, put your hands.
All right, so no. They're gonna take you away, okay?
I'm getting my stuff, man. Put your hands, man. You need to talk to this dude too. I don't take that from nobody, bro. Don't put your hands on me like that. I don't give a damn. I know I'm coming back there.
It's still Friday Eve. It's gonna be a great day.
Oh my. Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, I think when that song plays, I had been cued. It's the end of the show. I have nothing else. Well, actually, that's a little bit of a fib. I've got a lot more else. I've got tons more. I just can't justify holding all you people here for the rest of the day. Although I know some of you probably would sit here and watch it with me all day. I can't justify doing it all at one time right now, but keep an eye out because there will be more to come. And some of this will be rolled into compilations. So, as I say every week, thank you for coming by. This has been the Saturday end of week case review. I am your host, Lone Wolf Usul. I am your host for this here show and your curator for this here channel, full of court content. Thank you for coming by. I do premieres every single night of the week at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Come by. We have a really active live chat. We watch the dockets of the day and enjoy something of what was happening every single day. In between all of these lives and premieres, I release videos pretty much every single day. So come by, jump in the comments with us, comment on some of the videos that I'm putting out. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll be seeing you in the funny papers. I'm your Lone Wolf Usul. Thank you for coming around. I'll see you next time. I am out. Well, you know, I could probably say thank you to some of you in person, like Northwest, Rhonda, Allison, Kat, Mama, Link. I don't know why I said Link. Living like a cat. Speaking of that, some dogs living like cats over here. Bro, Domitikus, good seeing you. Patrick, good seeing you. Marty, good seeing you. It's good seeing everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. I'll have a great rest of your weekend. Oh, keep an eye out. May do something froggy later. I don't know if it'll be a premiere or a live, but there's some crazy stuff to put together. I'll have a good one.